Here's something you might find surprising. If there's a minor chord in a song, that chord is the Roman numeral 6 chord 100% of the time. Okay, maybe not 100%. It's more like, I don't know, too much percent of the time. All I can say for sure is that in most pop and rock music, the 6 chord is by far the most used minor chord. Hi, this is Joe Luegers. Welcome to my series Chord Pro, where I teach you how to learn chord progressions by ear using step-by-step lessons and practical exercises. This is the second lesson in the series. If you'd like to go back to lesson 1, I'll put a playlist link in the video description, although you can jump in at any point. Also remember that everything you need to know in these videos is contained in the audio, and the information on the screen is just icing on the ears. Since you don't need to be staring at my face, I will go ahead and evaporate into the YouTube ether. Whee! Remember, if you harmonize any major scale by stacking thirds, you get 3 unique major chords, 3 unique minor chords, and another chord that we don't talk about. It is extremely common to see all 3 of the major chords in a song, and it is also extremely common to see the minor 6 chord, but the other minor chords are used far less often. Why is this? Let's say that we're in the key of G. Did you know that the G stands for guitar? Anyway, in this key, the 1 or tonic chord is G and is by far the most important chord. The 6th chord, E minor, contains 2 of the same notes as G major, so it can act as a darker stand-in for the tonic. It's also worth noting that the key of E minor shares the same key signature as G major and is known as its relative minor. All of this boils down to the fact that E minor is very closely related to the most important chord in the key of G. In the last lesson, I talked about how moving from the 5 chord to the 1 chord is known as a perfect cadence and is very pleasing to the ears. Listen to what happens if you sub the 1 chord for a 6 chord in this progression to create what's known as a deceptive cadence. Hear how the tension of 5 resolves to the darkness of 6 in an unexpected, deceptive way. If you can accurately tell apart the 1, 4, 5, and 6 chords, you'll be able to learn literally hundreds of thousands of songs by ear. The simple fact is that a lot of songs in genres other than classical and jazz use a very limited range of chord progressions. Some people like to pretend that this is because of laziness or a lack of education in songwriters, but here at the Joe Luegers Music Academy, I really want to discourage that kind of elitism. For a lot of songwriters, chords are simply a vehicle for a good melody and lyrics that connect with their audience. Chain of Fools, sung by Aretha Franklin, uses only 1 chord and the song rocks. So the next time you hear someone complain about a song not having enough chords, you tell them to meet me by the playground at 3:15, because I'm going to teach them a lesson. A music theory lesson. There are a few chord progressions you really need to know because they pop up all the time. I force my piano and guitar students to memorize these, and I don't return their favorite toys from the burn pit until they know them in every key. The first of these would be the 1, 5, 6, 4 progression, which I call the modern pop progression. Let's listen to it. Sound familiar? I'm not going to give you a list of songs that use these chords, because lots of other people have done that already in a more comprehensive way than I have the patience for. If you haven't seen the Axis of Awesome perform their 4-chord song about this chord progression, I'll put a link in the description. It's funny and interesting the first time you see it, but I've seen it and heard it talked about so many times now that I barely have a wry chuckle left in me. Another chord progression you need to know is 1, 6, 4, 5, which I call the classic pop progression. A famous example of this progression that comes to mind would be Stand By Me, sung by Ben E. King. Let's listen. I'll give you one more example, which I've heard referred to as the minor pop progression. This one begins on the 6th chord and goes 6, 4, 1, 5. The example I always think of is All of Me by John Legend. You might be thinking, hey, if it's in a minor key, then would it still be the 6th chord? Shouldn't it be minor 1, and then flat 6, flat 3, and flat 7? Technically, yes, but at this point in your education, let's just stick with major key numerals as the default. Besides, a lot of pop songs don't have a strong sense of minor tonality in the traditional sense. Rather, they endlessly loop through these short progressions and then fade out while existing in a delicate balance somewhere in between major and minor. You could call this pandiatonic or maybe Schrodinger's tonic. I'm talking too much, so let's move on to the most important part of the lesson, the exercises. But first, ad break. I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, you. That's right, if you'd like to support my goal to bring free music education to planet Earth and any other nearby planets with hopefully more intelligent life than us, consider contributing to my Patreon page to keep the channel going. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get access to my playlist, Hands-Free Ear Training, featuring 20 plus 5-minute exercises that can be completed with only the audio. Speaking of audio, the $1 tier also gets audio downloads of each of the exercises. Here is a brief overview of the topics I cover. These exercises will gradually be made free here on YouTube every Wednesday, but I am premiering them to my patrons first. Basically, what I'm trying to say is give me your hard-earned money now. I really want to buy a pinball machine on a boat, and I'm going to need your help to make that dream come true. Okay, now it's time to test your ears. I won't explain how these exercises work in every single episode. Try to learn these chords by ear and then check your answer. Look at the screen if you need hints, or just use the audio for hard mode. If you need some more help to learn these chords by ear, stick around after the exercises for one more helpful tip. Progression 1, in the key of C. The chords were 1, 5, 6, 4, or C, G, A minor, F. Progression 2, in the key of D. The chords were 4, 5, 1, 6, or G, A, D, B minor. Progression 3, in A. The chords were 1, 6, 4, 5, or A, F sharp minor, D, E. Progression 4, in the key of B flat. The chords were 6, 4, 1, 5, or G minor, E flat, B flat, F. Progression 5, in the key of E flat. The chords were 1, 6, 1, 6, or E flat, C minor, E flat, C minor. Oh, shucks. You stuck around for little old me? Here's another quick tip. Learn which scale degrees are in which chords. For example, scale degree 7, also known as the leading tone or solfege syllable T, is only present in the 5 chord out of all of the chords we've covered so far. This means if you can sing that scale degree and it sounds at home, then it almost has to be a 5 chord. Let's listen to a 1, 6, 4, 5 progression with a sustained 7 played on a synth choir sound. Notice how it generally clashes with each chord until we get to that final 5 chord. In the next video of this series, we will cover the minor 2 chord, so I will see you then.